Om Namo Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so I'd like to welcome everybody. Especially I'd like to welcome Janita. Thank you very much for joining us. She just called me a few minutes ago and was very enthusiastic to take part in our activities. So thank you very much for joining. So Jane, this chapter is the final chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It's entitled The Perfection of Renunciation. We did roughly half of it last time, and we're going to conclude it today. So I wanted to just do a summary of the whole chapter first. This chapter, of course, is the final summary of the Bhagavad Gita. And after, sorry? Final chapter. I've said that. I've said final chapter. After systematically outlining various spiritual truths, Krishna offers his Paramam Vacha, which is the final version. Once you take up Bhakti Yoga, so Bhakti Yoga is where one remembers Krishna, very important, remembers Supreme Personality of Godhead. The most essential spiritual practice outlined in every chapter of this conversation, except of course, chapter 1. Chapter 1 is where Arjuna is speaking mainly. Thus, one is offered the opportunity of permanent happiness and fulfillment by achievement of Krishna consciousness, considered the perfection of renunciation. So we're all looking for happiness in this world, but it's always going to elude us because we're looking for happiness in a temporary world where things change all the time. And even if we have all the wealth that we want, all the family members around us, nice possessions, great friends, well, it's all meaningless because there's something called death, which is so final. It'll take everything away. So this world can never give us happiness. No matter how much we have, it's never enough because we're looking for it in the wrong place. If we look for it in a spiritual context, especially when we are connected with the Supreme Lord and his devotees, then we have this opportunity of getting everlasting happiness in direct association with the Lord and his devotees. That's where the perfection lies. In such consciousness, God consciousness, you can call it Krishna consciousness, an individual can smile in the face of all situations and circumstances, confident that the smiling Krishna is his constant companion, eternal friend. Whatever unhappiness we go through, distress we go through in this material world, we should see it as firstly being temporary, but secondly, as a blessing of the Lord to remind us that this world is somewhere where we don't actually belong. So even if we face hardships, the most difficult types of hardships, if one remembers the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, then there is no hardship. In fact, it said, even when there is hardship, one should thank the Supreme Lord. If we thank the Supreme Lord for that hardship, immediately the relief is given by the Lord, immediately. So there are 4 themes in this chapter. We've covered the first 2, how to work in renunciation, and what are the 5 causes of activity. We think we are the main cause of everything that we are successful for, but that is such an illusion, and that brings about such a big false ego. So we have to understand, Krishna explains there are actually 5 causes, including the Paramatma, and 3 others as well. We won't go through those because we did it last week. And then it describes the 3 kinds of Tamagun, Rajagun, and Sattvagun, 3 modes of material nature, how they relate to knowledge, action, happiness. And now, where we're going to take it from is describing the Varnashram system, and then he gives the final message. So let's go to, I think, text number 41. Yeah. So 41 to 55. I'd like a volunteer to read the English. So we have Shruti. Yeah,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Shruti. Oh,
Hare Krishna.
how are you, Shruti?
I'm doing fine, Prabhuji. Thank you. How are you doing?
Not too bad. So here we go.
Hmm.
Um,
Prabhuji,
yes.
I will do English, Prabhuji.
Okay. There's quite a lot of verses. So I think 55. If you do half up to, I'd say 48, up to 48, and then somebody else can do.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Very good. Thank you so much, Koshima. It's so nice when somebody comes and says, yes, I will do it. Let me make this writing a little bigger. And a little bit. And then Mr. Saha can read as well. Yes, you can do the second half, Mr. Saha.
Okay.
And this is especially for you. I've zoomed in. Okay.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
did we, where did we stop last week? Did we stop at 39 or 30?
I
Did we-
think we stopped at 40, but actually, you know what? Yeah, we stopped here, 39.
Okay.
And 40 as well. We did 40, but you can do 40 again.
Okay. No, maybe I'm making a mistake. I don't recall.
Okay. Yeah, we did the 3 types of happiness. If you remember the happiness which
Yeah.
is crazy in the beginning and is crazy in the middle and is crazy at the end as well.
That's in the mode of ignorance.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yes, yes, I remember you explaining. And then the true happiness is the one which may seem like poison in the beginning, but that is the one that is everlasting.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. Poison in the beginning, nectar in the end. And
Right.
that
Yes.
mainly refers to religious practice, because when you start religious practice, especially meditation, it's very difficult in the beginning.
Yes, yes, I recall you giving the example of chanting the Hare
Hmm.
Krishna.
Yeah, very good, Shruti. You got good memory. Thank you.
Now that you mention it, I recall the example that you gave.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Prabhuji. So should I begin with 40 or 41?
No, do 40, it's fine.
Okay. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
न तदस्ति पृथिव्यां वा दिवि देवेषु वा पुनः सत्वं प्रकृतिजैर्मुक्तं यदेभिः स्यात् त्रिभिर्गुणैः.
There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems, which is freed from these 3 modes, born of material nature.
ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय विषाम् शूद्राणां च परन्तप कर्माणि प्रविभक्तानि स्वभाव प्रभवैर्गुणैः.
Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own nature in accordance with the material modes, O chastiser of the enemy.
This is, sorry, Shruti. This is quite an important verse because Krishna is identifying the 4 classes of men or women, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. We'll come to that again in a little while. The Varnas, yeah.
शमोदमस्तपः शौचम् क्षान्तिर्आर्जवम् एव च ज्ञानं विज्ञानम् आस्तिक्यम् ब्रह्मकर्म स्वभावजम्.
Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work.
शौर्यं तेजो धृतिर्दाक्ष्यम् युद्धे चाप्यपलायनम् दानम् ईश्वरभावश्च क्षात्रं कर्म स्वभावजम्.
Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity of leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas.
कृषि गौरक्ष्य वाणिज्यम् वैश्यकर्म स्वभावजम् परिचर्यात्मकं कर्म शूद्रस्यापि स्वभावजम्.
Farming, cow protection, and business are the natural work for the Vaishyas. And for the Shudras, there are labor and service to others.
स्वे स्वे कर्मण्यभिरतः संसिद्धिं लभते नरः स्वकर्मनिरतः सिद्धिं यथा विन्दति तच्छृणु.
By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done.
यतः प्रवृत्तिर्भूतानां येन सर्वमिदं ततं स्वकर्मणा तमभ्यर्च्य सिद्धिं विन्दति मानवः.
By worshipping of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work.
श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विगुणः परधर्मात् स्वनुष्ठितात् स्वभावनियतं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions.
This is a really nice verse where Krishna explains that even you're not very good at your own occupation, your own nature, do it anyway. Perform that duty which is according to your nature. Don't do somebody else's work, even if you can do it perfectly. Because whatever is due to you, according to your nature, that will not be affected by sinful reactions. Very interesting chapter, verse.
Okay.
48.
48, yeah.
सहजं कर्म कौन्तेय सदोषम् अपि न त्यजेत् सर्वारम्भा हि दोषेण धूमेनाग्निरिवावृताः.
Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature. O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault.
असक्त बुद्धि सर्वत्र जितात्मा विगतस्पृहः नैष्कर्म्य सिद्धिं परमां संन्यासेनाधिगच्छति.
One who is self-controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyments can obtain by practice of renunciation the highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction.
So now Mr. Saha can read the English.
Okay.
Thank you,
Sid-
Kausalya Maji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण. सिद्धिं प्राप्तो यथा ब्रह्म तथाप्नोति निबोध मे समासेनैव कौन्तेय निष्ठा ज्ञानस्य या परा.
O son of Kunti,
learn from me how to, who can achieve his perfection can attain to the supreme perfectional stage. Brahman are stage of highest knowledge by acting the way I shall now summarize.
बुद्ध्या विशुद्धया युक्तो धृत्यात्मानं नियम्य च शब्दादीन् विषयान् त्यक्त्वा रागद्वेषौ व्युदस्य च.
There's another two. You can carry on. Yeah.
विविक्तसेवी लघ्वाशी यतवाक्कायमानसः ध्यानयोगपरो नित्यं वैराग्यं समुपाश्रितः अहङ्कारं बलं दर्पं कामं क्रोधं परिग्रहं विमुच्य निर्ममः शान्तो ब्रह्म भूयाय कल्पते.
Good.
Being purified by his intelligence and control the mind of the determination, giving up the object of sense of gratification, being freed from the achievement and hatred, one who lives in a scheduled place, who can little, who control his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from the false ego, false strength, false pride, lose anger, and acceptance of material things, free from the proportionateship and peaceful. Such person is certainly elevated to the position of the self-realization.
ब्रह्मभूतः प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न काङ्क्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते पराम्.
One who is the transcendently situated at one realization the supreme Brahman and became fully joyful. He never inanimate of desire to have anything. He is quality disposed toward every living entity. In the stage, he attained pure devotional service unto me.
भक्त्या माम् अभिजानाति यावान्यश्चास्मि तत्त्वतः ततो मां तत्त्वतो ज्ञात्वा विशते तद् अनन्तरम्.
One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one of the full consciousness of me by such devotional, he can enter into the kingdom of God.
Very good. Thank you so much, Shruti and Mrs. Saha. This is such an incredible verse because Krishna is describing Bhaktya Mam Vijanati. Janati, know me by Bhakti. Mam is him. That person who can understand Krishna only by Bhakti. Then when he is in that full consciousness through that Bhakti, he can enter into God. So Krishna is making it very clear, no other yoga will do it. Only Bhakti yoga will do it. Devotional service. So let's have a quick look at the summary of this chapter, this theme rather. So many verses, very important verses. We're expected to be aloof and unattached workers. But in reality, we have a conditioned nature, influenced by the modes. We are all influenced by this world and the different gunas in this world, which implicate us in worldly life. Krishna then explains, okay, we are living in this world. So I have created a system of varnashram for you. Varna ashram, where you can use your nature, your inherent nature, your qualities in different types of work. So if you're an intellect, if you are a peaceful person, you can be a Brahmin. If you are an organizer or a military person, you can be a Kshatriya. If you're a businessman, you can be a Vaishya. If you like to work, you can be a Shudra. So a lot of people confuse this with the caste system. The caste system is not authorized, because somebody who acts like a Shudra, but is born in a family of a Brahmin, will be regarded as a Brahmin in a caste system. That's not right. It's not what is Krishna is saying. Krishna is distinguishing who is in the different classes by their nature. So if one is born in a family of Shudras, but is behaving, his nature is like a Brahmin, then he is a Brahmin. He is a Brahmin. So, and in this world, no society can run without these four classes of men or women. You always need the professors, the intellectuals. You always need the government and the law enforcers, the military. You always need the business people. You always need the workers. So depending on our nature, we can act accordingly within these varnas. One need not artificially imitate another man's duty, as Krishna explained, but rather embrace what is natural to us and what is inborn. By engaging our nature and discharging work in a spirit of God consciousness. See, none of these are necessarily regarded to be higher than the others. You need a Brahman. Example is given of a body. You need a head, you need the arms, you need the stomach, you need the legs. The body can't function without any of those. So in the same way, society needs all these, and all of them have their purpose of running the society. So by engaging our nature and discussing work in the spirit of God conscious, that's the most important. Wherever we fit in, it's this God consciousness is the most important. If one is a Brahmin but has no concept of God, what is the use? One may be a Shudra, but one is fully devoted to God. That is useful. We purify ourselves of material propensities if we have the spirit of God consciousness, and we can live a happy and peaceful life, even in this world, because we can understand that we are not of this world. We are separate from this world, but yet we're living in this world. So we live, and we try to live in connection with God. So what's the lesson? Understand what is this varnashram system. Understand these four classes and how it applies to us. How do we fit in, individually and collectively? It's very important to understand this. So here we got a little diagram of explaining the different classes. We've got the Brahmins, we've got the Kshatriyas. The Brahmins are basically very peaceful by nature. Krishna also describes in this verse, what are the different qualities of those in the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra classes. And he describes also the Kshatriyas who are very heroic. They look to protect society. The Vaishya, they look to protect cows, and they are engaged in business. And the Shudras who engaged in labor work. Actually, it's described in this age of Kali Yuga, everybody's a Shudra. There are no Brahmins, there are no Kshatriyas, there are no Vaishyas. Everybody's a Shudra. Shudra basically means working for somebody else, which is not a bad thing in itself, as long as one is fixed in God consciousness. That's the important quality. So this verse again, we can read it. Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own natures in accordance with the material modes. Very important to understand this in the context of God consciousness. And Krishna very nicely explains it. And that final verse that we read, 1855, is such an important verse. bhaktya mama vijanati. Yavan yashasmi tato mam tattvato gyatva vishyate tadanantaram. So now we're going to do the final section of the Bhagavad Gita. It's quite a lot of verses, 23 odd verses. So maybe definitely two people should read. Oh, we've got Janita. Are you there, Janita? Would you like to read? And Yogini, you've unmuted, so you like to read?
Yes, please, Prabhuji.
Okay. Janita, I know you've come for the first time. You may be a little shy. Don't worry if you are. So you can read maybe up to, say, 60. Oh, yeah. Maybe 63, 64, something like that. Okay. This is Yogini, yeah?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Am I reading up to 63?
Yeah, you can read up to 63.
Okay, because I thought that the Mataji, you said the name. So
Yeah.
sorry. Okay.
No. You start.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Shruti.
Okay, Prabhuji, I'll continue. Hare Krishna. Sarva karmanyaphi sada kurvano madvyapashrayah matprasadad avapnoti shashvatam padam avyayam.
Though engage in kinds of activities, my pure devotee under my protection reaches the internal and imperishable avoid by my grace.
Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha buddhi yogam upashritya matchitta satatam bhava.
In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection in such a devotion service by fully conscious of me.
Matchitta sarva durgani matprasadat tarishyasi attachetvam ahankaran nashroshyasi vinakshyasi.
If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditional life by my grace. If you, however, you do not work in such a conscience, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
Yadahankaram ashritya nayotsya iti manyase mithyaisha vyavasayaste prakritistvam niyokshati.
If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight them, you will be foolishly directed by your nature. You will have to be engaged in warfare.
Swabhavajena kaunteya nibaddhasvena karmana kartum nechasi yanmohat karishyasya vashopi tat.
Under illusion, you are now declined to act according to my direction, but completed by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti.
So in these few verses, Krishna is saying, look, you're a Kshatriya by nature. You will uphold the law. And that is your nature. If you don't fight in this war, then you are not working according to your nature. You'll be acting against your nature. Okay.
Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani mayaya.
The Supreme Lord is seated in everyone's heart, O Arjun, and is directing the wandering of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy.
Tameva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tatprasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashwatam.
O station of the Bharata, surrender unto him utilely by his grace, you will attain a sorry, Papji, please can you pronounce for me?
Transcendental.
Transcendental. Hello, hello?
Yeah, transcendental.
Transcendental, thank you. Peace and supreme and entire abode.
Iti te jnanam akhyatam guhyad guhyataram maya vinashyayitadasheshena yathechas
This I have explained to your knowledge, still more confidential, deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do.
Okay, thank you, Yogini. Okay, very good. So who's reading next? Do we
Hare
have
Krishna.
Janita? Are you there?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Otherwise, Indulekha, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, okay. Give me 1 second. Again, I'm in the kitchen. Let me move out of the kitchen. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Okay. Sarva guhyatamam bhuyana shrunu me paramam vachah ishtosi me dridhamiti tato vakshyami te hitam.
You can read it. You got internet issue. Don't worry. No, we can't hear you.
From your benefit. Can you hear me, Prabhuji? No?
Yes. Now
about,
we can.
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. Because you are my very dear friend, I'm speaking to you, my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yes, that was good.
Thank you.
Sarva dharman
65, Shruti, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me.
Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. First you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend.
Very amazing verse. He speaks a similar verse in a different chapter as well. But this verse, chapter 9, this verse is really very important because Krishna is explaining, just try to remember me all the time. And you will come to, Krishna is saying, you will come to me. I promise you this because you're my friend. Okay, Shruti.
Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchah.
Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear.
So again, this was a very important verse. Krishna is saying, just give up everything. Sarva dharma pari. Give up all other dharmas. Just take shelter of my lotus feet. And I will protect you. Do not fear.
Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushrushave vachyam na cha mam yobhyasuyati.
This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me.
Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhakteshvabhidhasyati bhaktim mayi param kritva mame vaishyatya samshayah.
For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, true devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me.
So this is again fundamental verse. Once we've learned the Gita a little bit, we can also spread the word, spread the knowledge of the Gita to others. And that's what gives Krishna a lot of happiness. And if you look at the next verse as well, he says, there's no servant more dear to me than that person who gives this knowledge of Gita to others. Okay, Shruti.
न च तस्मान् मनुष्येषु कश्चिन्मे प्रियकृत्तमः भविता न च मे तस्मात् अन्यः प्रियतरो भुवि.
There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear.
अध्येष्यते च य इमं धर्म्यं संवादमावयोः ज्ञानयत्नेन तेनाहम् इष्टः स्याम् इति मे मतिः.
And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence.
श्रद्धावान् अन्नसूयश्च शृणुयाद् अपि यो नरः सोऽपि मुक्तः शुभान् लोकान् प्राप्नुयात् पुण्यकर्मणाम्.
And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains the auspicious planets where the pious dwell.
कच्चिदेतच्छ्रुतं पार्थ त्वयैकाग्रेण चेतसा कच्चिदज्ञानसम्मोहः प्रणष्टस्ते धनञ्जय.
O son of Krishna, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And your ignorance and illusion have dispelled.
अर्जुन उवाच नष्टो मोहः स्मृतिर्लब्धा त्वत्प्रसादान्मयाच्युत स्थितोऽस्मि गतसन्देहः करिष्ये वचनं तव.
Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my knowledge by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and I'm prepared to act according to your instructions.
Sanjay उवाच इत्यहं वासुदेवस्य पार्थस्य च महात्मनः संवादम् इममश्रौषम् अद्भुतं रोमहर्षणम्.
Sanjaya said, just have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair standing on end.
व्यासप्रसादात् श्रुतवान् एतद् गुह्यम् अहं परम् योगं योगेश्वरात् कृष्णात् साक्षात् कथयतः स्वयम्.
By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personality Arjuna.
राजन् संस्मृत्य संवादम् इमम् अद्भुतम् केशवार्जुनयोः पुण्यम् हृष्यामि च मुहुर्मुहुः.
Okay, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being swayed at every moment.
तच्च संस्मृत्य रूपम् अत्यद्भुतं हरेः विस्मयो मे महान् राजन् हृष्यामि च पुनः पुनः.
Okay, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoiced again and again.
यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतेर् ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम.
Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion.
ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे मोक्षसंन्यासयोगो नाम अष्टादशोऽध्यायः. हरे कृष्ण.
Beautiful. Jai. Bhagavad
Hare
Gita.
Krishna.
Jai. Hare
Bhagavad
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well
Krishna,
done.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, we finished it
Very, very
nicely. Yeah.
beautifully done. Beautifully done.
Very beautiful. Very.
Thank you so much. So, final section. Let's have a look at this. In conclusion, all activities, practices, elements of spirituality are ultimately aimed at achieving pure love of God. The highest realization in transcendental knowledge is to re-establish one's eternal loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada wonderfully sums this up in the purport to 1865. He says this: the most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna. That's the most important thing. And always think of him and act for him. Like that verse, Manmana Manobhava. One should not become an official meditator. What does that mean? Just making a show of becoming a devotee of God. We should actually not just meditate with our mind, but with our heart as well. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours, he cannot help but think of Krishna. Now, you might say that's very difficult. And it may be a little challenging, but we can, if we put a little bit of thought about how we live our life. For example, we go to work, on our desk, we should have a picture of Krishna. At home, we should have a nice temple and pictures of Krishna everywhere. In that way, we can't avoid but seeing Krishna, remembering Krishna at all the time. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna, face to face. And the lesson is very easy. Understand the philosophy. It's easy to say it, but it's not so easy to practice. Understand the philosophy. Live the philosophy and give the philosophy to others. Understand, live. Take Krishna and give Krishna. Yeah, take Krishna and give Krishna. That's the summary of the final Bhagavad Gita and also this final section. So thank you, devotees, for hanging in there and completing the Bhagavad Gita with us. It's such a pleasure to do this because it's such a wonderful, wonderful scripture that helps us. But I wanted to give you a final taste of real devotion, real devotion. This might be a little bit of a shock to a lot of people, but I'm going to tell you a story. Once Arjun and Krishna, they'd gone to a forest. After the battlefield, after the battle, they were together and they went to the forest. Long time after the battle, Krishna became hungry and thirsty. And he said to Arjun, please go and get some water and some fruits. And Krishna was resting. Arjun then went to find the fruits. And he came across a sadhu's ashram, a devotee's ashram. And he went inside. And he saw that sadhu was doing something very unusual. He was sharpening a very nice sword. Very unusual for a sadhu to be sharpening a sword. There was a bow and arrow as well. Arjun was very surprised. And he asked him, you're a sadhu, you're a devotee. What are you doing with a sword and a bow and an arrow? Okay, the sadhu was a little upset. He said, this sword is meant for Draupadi. And the arrow is for Arjun. Arjun was shocked. What do you mean? He started shaking, sat down on the ground like a felled tree. He forgot all about collecting the fruits for Krishna. He was shocked. In the meantime, Krishna was wondering, where is Arjun? So he started looking for Arjun. He found him eventually in this sadhu's ashram. And Arjun was still in complete shock. Why would this sadhu want to go against me and Draupadi? Sorry, just 1 second. What happened? He said. Why haven't you come back? What have you been doing, Arjun? Now, hang on.
Sadhu said, nothing happened.
Yeah, so, but the sadhu said nothing happened. Arjun just asked me what my weapons were for. And I told him there to shoot Arjun and Draupadi. Actually, he didn't know there was Arjun. He just thought this was an ordinary person. So Krishna then asked the sadhu, so why? Why are you thinking like this? What has Draupadi done to deserve this? Sadhu says, when Draupadi took birth, she was naked. But still, she disturbed Krishna, and she only prayed for him to protect her chastity. She gave pain to Krishna, compelling him to manifest an endless sari. We are meant to serve Bhagavan, not disturb him for our own service or our own protection. Wow, that's pretty heavy stuff, huh? Draupadi is glorified for raising her hands and praying to Krishna for protection. But the sadhu, he won't disturb Krishna. Even if he's under attack, he won't disturb Krishna. He's completely devoted to Krishna. Prahlad is an example, completely devoted. He never once did Prahlad say, please protect me, please protect me. Never once. But the Lord automatically protects him. So Draupadi asked for protection, and she bound Krishna to come to protect. So the sadhu was upset. Then Krishna asked, what about Arjun? What's he done wrong? Sadhu said, he made Krishna his chariot driver. He told him to massage his horses. He gave them grass and water. Is this friendship? He has no respect for Bhagavan, so I will kill him. Pretty heavy, huh? Hearing this, Arjun said to the sadhu, "O Prabhu, you have such a deep love for the Lord. I am very proud considering myself to be Krishna's nearest and dearest. But I always disturbed Krishna, asking him to do so many things for me. But I did not do anything for Krishna's happiness. And Draupadi only called Krishna when there was a problem. Now Arjun understood the real meaning of love. Sadhus are very merciful. Thus, on Krishna's request, the sadhu forgave Arjun and Draupadi. Then Krishna gave his darshan to the sadhu and said, I came here in order to show Arjun your love and the nature of a sadhu. Arjun offered pranams to the sadhu and prayed, please give me the power to understand the sadhu. So Bhagavad Gita is very, very important, but we should always understand that we are meant to serve the Supreme Lord. We are supposed to please him. He's not our order carrier. We are his. We do what he wants us to do. Not that he does what we want him to do. This is very important to understand. This is actually the purport of the Bhagavad Gita, that we will try to do whatever pleases Krishna. What pleases him? He says, Ya idim paramam guhyam. That person who gives my knowledge to others, he indeed makes me very happy. And that person, there's no person more dear to me than that person who shares this knowledge with others. So tell others about Krishna as much as you can, whatever is within your capacity. Krishna will be pleased with that. And try to live this Bhagavad Gita. So thank you so much. Is there any questions, any comments? Anybody like to say anything, ask anything?
Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna.
we finished the chapters 1 to 18. So next Friday, what are we going to do?
Very nice question. So we got some options, and I'd like to ask the devotees what they think. We can always keep doing the Bhagavad Gita. It's something that you can keep doing again and again, and it's always going to be fresh and beautiful. There is another option that we are doing the Bhagavad Puran, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's only 18,000 verses.
18,000 verses.
Bhagavad Gita was only 700, but this is only 18,000. And I don't know if you've heard of the Bhagavad Puran, but there is no scripture higher than that, including the Bhagavad Gita. It's an extension of the Bhagavad Gita. And I was even thinking that we could start that and see how we go. And I would love Shruti to recite the Bhagavatam. It's not easy, it's challenging, but
There would be no greater blessing than that, Prabhuji.
there'll be no greater blessing. Well, you are blessed anyway. So,
Bhagavatam is Krishna himself.
yeah, yes, Bhagavatam is Krishna himself. Very good understanding, Shruti. So I was thinking like that. I don't know, Bhavnaben, what do you think?
Oh, you have to ask everyone, Prabhuji.
Yeah, what's your thoughts?
I don't mind.
Okay.
Like you say, Bhagavad Puran.
Okay. I think let's try it. I did want Shruti to read the whole Bhagavad Gita as well at some point in Sanskrit, so that when we have it recorded, but secondly, the way she reads it is so delightful.
It's true. Very true.
Maybe we just do that in the next couple of sessions. Let Shruti do as many chapters as she can for an hour. Or maybe that's a bit unfair, Shruti. Well, what do you think?
I'm more than happy to read the chapters, Prabhuji, but depending on how much time we have and how the devotees or you would like to have it organized, maybe as you suggest, maybe we could spread it out over a few
Maybe.
sessions.
Yeah. We'd have to spread it out anyway, definitely.
Because we have 18 chapters and
18
700
chapters. So maybe over 4 weeks we could do that, couldn't we? And what we could do is you could read the Sanskrit and then we can just read the translation and go all the way through the 18 chapters that way.
Yes, that would be good.
And then after that, we can go through Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam, yes.
All right. Mr. Saha, what do you think?
Yeah, that's the fine. We want to again Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
It's so nice,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
fantastic. I can't
Yes,
explain.
Prabhuji, it would be nice to go over again on the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, let's do that.
Srutiji, and many thanks. And
Yes, she's
blessed to her.
yeah, she's really good. Really good.
So is it the same timings, Prabhuji?
Same. Everything is the same.
7 p.m. Yeah,
Yeah.
every Friday?
Every Friday. Yeah, we'll just carry on. We just carry on.
Okay.
Very good.